Saucony is expanding its Endorphin line with a whole new shoe. The Saucony Endorphin Azura, a totally new running shoe from Saucony. This is a fun, fast, bouncy, responsive, lightweight daily trainer. And it's meant to be a versatile ride. And so many running brands right now are trying to unlock the key to finding that fun, poppy, responsive, but also well-cushioned daily trainer that everyone is craving right now. So I guess the question is, does the Saucony Azura match up to some of those other daily trainers out there? There's only one way to find out, so let's break this shoe down and get into it. But before we can go anywhere, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us as we continue to put out new videos for all of you. So let's just knock out some tech specs real quick. The weight of this shoe comes in at 7.5 ounces for the women's model and 8.5 ounces for the men's model. The experience of this shoe is meant to be springy and bouncy. The best surface to use this on is for the roads, and the shoe comes in at $150. And let's start with the top and go down to the midsole like we typically do, starting with the upper. The upper is mesh, it is breathable, and it does have quite a few overlays for extra protection and reinforcement. Though it does have a pretty streamlined and race-like fit, so you will get a bit more of a dialed and locked in fit from this one. So if you're someone who prefers a more snug fit, then this might work better for you. Not only that, but the upper is also really light. The tongue is light, the cushioning and padding around the heel collar is pretty minimal, and overall there's not too much structure to the upper. And even though our tongue is thin, it is gusseted, so you will get that nice midfoot wrap. Though something I do want to note about the heel collar is that it is much firmer than other parts of the shoe, so you will get a nice locked in and supportive heel collar feeling. Some heel collars, you know how they're kind of like flimsy and they kind of bend in a lot, or maybe your foot slips out of the shoe. You're not really gonna have that experience with this heel collar. And one more thing to note, like I said, this is a more streamlined upper, so the toe box isn't going to be as wide as other traditional daily trainers. Instead, you're gonna get a similar last and fit to a race day-like feel. And something else to note is that the upper of the shoe doesn't come in wider widths. So right now, we are just getting the standard width. But if you're someone who is looking to figure out whether the upper fit of this shoe is gonna fit best for you, whether you have a narrow or a wider foot, the best thing you can do is actually try this shoe on in store at your local Fleet Feet, or go through the Fit ID and outfitting process. Go get your foot scanned and figure out whether this Saucony shoe or another one is gonna fit best for you. And now let's move down to the midsole, and it has some pretty familiar components that we're already used to in the Endorphin line. And the first thing to note is that this is full PWRRUN PB without a plate. And PWRRUN PB is one of the more premium foams that Saucony offers, and you can find it in shoes like the Endorphin Pro 5 and in the Speed. So if you do have any familiarity running in either of those shoes and you want a similar experience but maybe without the plate, and it's gonna just provide more cushioning and more flexibility and versatility in your running experience, then the Azura is going to fit in nicely with that line. Even though it doesn't have a plate, it still has that energetic and snappy feel to it. Something that Saucony really tried to make sure they got right with this shoe is energy return and a fun but playful bouncy response. Something else that I really loved about the shoe was the rocker shape and how it just guides your foot through the stride, and it has a nice springy toe off. And something else to note about the midsole of this shoe is that it is firm but fun. And if you're looking for something that's going to help just propulse you forward instead of a marshmallowy feel, then the Azura is going to be able to offer that for you. So this shoe is really ideal for those quicker turnover days. If you want something more like an up-tempo daily trainer and a springier and faster ride, something that's gonna really pop and enhance your running experience, then the Azura provides that. And just adding onto that, this shoe really thrives in those moderate to faster paces. If you are looking for something where you want to pick up the pace, but you just don't want a plate, then this is where that shoe is going to shine. And so many of our reviewers felt like this shoe had a peppy and lightweight feel. It didn't have that ground feel that you're used to due to that high stack. And it's really not ideal for those who prefer a low profile or more flexible trainer. This is definitely more on the stiff side, and it's going to have a higher stack. And speaking of the stack, the shoe comes in at 40 millimeters in the heel and 32 in the forefoot for an 8 millimeter drop. And as for the outsole, we really didn't have any issues with outsole traction or rubber when we were cornering or picking up the pace in this shoe. But the real question is, who is the Saucony Endorphin Azura really best for? Is this a shoe that's gonna make sense for you? And it's so important when you're trying to build out your line that you get the shoe that's going to be curated specifically to your needs and your running experience that you're looking for. And myself and the Fleet Feet review team would say that this shoe would be more reserved for those who are intermediate to advanced runners. If you're a more beginner runner, maybe the Azura isn't a great entry point for you. If you are still looking for a daily trainer from Saucony, maybe consider the Ride first and then move up to the Azura and into the Endorphin line. But if you're looking for a more versatile super trainer or up-tempo daily trainer that doesn't have a plate, then this could be a good option. And you're looking for something that's more of a performance feel without going all the way up to race day. But this is also a great shoe if you want to show up and roll up to your run clubs, you want to have something that's going to match with your race day fit. It's going to be great for tempo runs and those longer progression runs. And last but not least, someone who likes a more rockered feel and a rockered transition through their stride is going to really enjoy this. I think for so long, Saucony was trying to figure out how they could expand the Endorphin line into a more versatile daily trainer. And they had the Speed, they've got the Pro, they have the Elite, but what's something that could be a bit more accommodating and more versatile than the Speed? And that's where the Azura comes in. Mind you, just because it doesn't have a plate, it still has that bounce and it still has that energy return. So if you are looking for something just a step below the Speed and you want the sensation of the Speed on foot without the plate, this could be a good option. And like I mentioned, if you do want to try this shoe out for yourself, you can either grab it online or at your local Fleet Feet.